inside the kitchen wall and sellotaped up on one of the outside windows, we can see that a couple of times we've had frost on the ground out here, and it's still been 17 and a half degrees inside with no heating. So that's all about your, people talk about thermal mass, they talk about insulation. It's the relationship between those things. And you know, earlier on I heard about the example of where too much thermal mass without the right amount of solar gain can be not that pleasant. It's like an old Scottish castle. It's a fabulously constant temperature all year round. It's bloody cold and miserable, unless you're burning down half the forest. So you've got to keep that relationship between your solar gain and your insulation and your thermal mass. Those sorts of things all have to be kept in balance. When you do come inside, feel free to wander around wherever you want. There's one bedroom with a no teenager sign on the outside of it, so don't go in that one. And there'll be shoes downstairs is all concrete, so your shoes on downstairs is fine, but you'll see the wooden stairs, and so take your shoes off before you go near the wooden stairs, or else somebody else might get grumpy at me later on tonight. I'll just quickly rattle through. This is the New Zealand Green Building Council staff will tell you this is the longest registered project which has never got around to submitting for its rating, which is totally my fault. So space heating, there is none. There's no need for any. There is an insurance policy. We did put the hydronic pipes inside the concrete slab. Would I get my calculations wrong? With the latest change in the urban design, this house next door can be turned into a 3-storey house, and that can take away all of our solar gain in the winter. So we had to insure against things like that changing in the future. And over the, hopefully at least 100 years, the house is going to be standing here with the climatic changes of increasing storm density, or increasing storm intensity, colder colds in the winter, hot and moister summers. Didn't really know what the climatic conditions are going to be in 50 years during some of those peaks and troughs and the changes in the climate. So we do have the pipes in there. They're not connected to a heating source yet. There are a whole bunch of temperature sensors built into the concrete slab, sunny side, shady side. So when I get around to finishing that part of the control system, if the concrete slab in the sun is a couple of degrees warmer than the concrete slab in the shade, it can just turn the circulating pump on and move the heat from the warm side of the house to the not quite as warm side of the house, just to even out that temperature change, just to move it around without actually adding external energy into it. Hot water, we've got a domestic hot water heat pump out the back. Again, I was trying to be too tricky with the controls, and the off-the-shelf controllers couldn't do what I wanted at the time, around interfacing, around spot market pricing, excess solar off the PV. There's a whole bunch of that stuff that I'm playing with around the outside just to optimise when that comes on and goes off. So at the moment we've got a 600 litre hot water cylinder with elements midway in at the bottom, and I've got those time clock controlled, one around 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. when the spot market price of electricity is really cheap, and again being able to come on at 11 a.m. after the vector lines charges go down for 10 cents a kilowatt hour for me, and after the sun's up and the PV's providing the electricity to drive that. Even with that, we are still net zero energy. And by the time I get around to connecting up the heat pump, that'll take another 1,000 kilowatt hours per annum off our total electricity consumption. Lighting, everything's LED, even what might look like an incandescent bulb over the kitchen, it's an incandescent LED, it's an LED. And if you play with those switches, you'll see it's got a bright white and a warm white. So early evening, late evening, and also the linear LEDs through in the open plan areas that you'll see when you go in there. They've got a slightly flasher computer controller in behind it, so that turn it on first thing in the morning when it's dark outside. It starts with a yellowish sort of light. Then over a 10-minute time it ramps up to a white light. During the day it's about a 5,000 Kelvin white light. Half an hour before sunset it gradually comes down to 3,000 Kelvin. Sits at that 3,000 Kelvin until after I've meant to have finished the dishes, which is before 9 p.m. And then it's got this ramp time from 9 p.m. till midnight where it drops from 3,000 Kelvin down to 2,200 Kelvin, which is quite a kind of a fire flame, soft, much softer light. And that's all to do with your melatonin levels and your circadian rhythms and telling your body when it's evening time and time to go to bed. White room appliances, it's all 5-star rated for energy and water. Apart from the fridge wasn't a 5-star, but that was to do with the size and the capacity and a family of 4 and exactly what we needed there. Renewables started with, in the design concept, started with solar, hot water and PV, but because of the roof design and the architecture on the inside and where the hot water cylinder was going to be, the routing for the water pipes was going to be a bit of a nightmare, and then it was going to be 2 different control systems and everything else. So I opted to do away with the solar hot water and just go for the PV, and then use the PV for the domestic hot water, for the domestic hot water heat pump. When you look at the country's national pattern of electricity use, summer, winter, summer, and you look at the output of your solar hot water panels, summer, winter, summer, a lot of your solar hot water installations during the winter use kind of 95% of the electricity that your just normal electric hot water cylinder would use, and that's at the wrong time of the year, which is stressing the national grid. And I kind of figured going for the domestic hot water heat pump that would use more electricity in the summer, which is when there's excess capacity in the distribution networks, the generation plants and everything else, but it would use up to a third of the electricity in the winter, which is when the lakes are at a low level, your lines capacities are constrained and all of those other things are going on. So we've ended up with 5 kilowatts of PV on the roof, a 5 kilowatt inverter and a Tesla Powerwall battery, which is it's a generation 1. We were really lucky, and some of you people here probably would have helped us. A couple of years ago, Vector were running a competition to give away 100 setups, and we went hard on all social media to get people to vote for us, and we were fortunate enough to win a 3 kilowatt setup with the Tesla battery, and then we paid to have it upgraded to the 5 kilowatt setup. And that's running brilliantly. It's the first generation of the Powerwall battery, which doesn't have a built-in inverter, and it's only got about a 6.5 kilowatt hour capacity. I've recently tweaked the controls and the operation of that to suit a lines company tariff that Vector now offer, which is 10 cents a kilowatt hour cheaper during the off-peak periods and during the peak periods. So what we're doing now, we're putting an hour's worth of charge into the battery from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and that's enough to get us through until 11 a.m. and then at 3 p.m, between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m, the battery's enabled to be charged again. It hasn't already fully charged off the PVs during the day, and then when the peak tariff period kicks in at 5 p.m, we've got enough electricity in the battery with 2 hours of charging to get us through at least until the 9 p.m. end of the peak period tariff. Now, if we're just having salad and a light cook for dinner, that'll get us through to 3 or 4 in the morning. If we're doing a roast and I've got 10 chefs and I haven't got around to whining, that might peter out at 11 o'clock at night. So that's how that side of it works.